Hello there. As you probably can have guessed from the title, I'm going to do a double review of two Tomb Raider games. Legend for PlayStation 2 and Underworld for PlayStation 3. Thought it would be kind of fitting since the two fit together story-wise. So, let's begin with Legend, shall we? Now the story is that basically it's a mix between fiction and mixed with it's fictional basically. Duh. But the story goes that Laura lost her mother when she was young, when she was a little girl, and she has always wondered what happened to her mother, you know. So in Legend she finds clues as to where her mother could have gone and what really happened. So that's the basic plot really. And the gameplay is pretty solid actually. The controls feel kind of nice, the controls. Although there are some minor nuisances. For instance, there are sections where you're riding a motorcycle, and there's these long chase sequences. You know, I mean, honestly they're a tad bit too long. Actually, they could have like shortened them down a little bit. You know, they would have worked better with smaller. If they weren't so fucking lengthy, because the controls for the bike itself is they're kind of clunky actually in Legend. But when you control just Laura, you know. And another thing with the lock-on system, if you press L1 you lock on an enemy, and sometimes it doesn't quite work, so you have to like basically fight the camera and steer it towards the enemy, you know, when it's kind of slow, so it sometimes it feels very sluggish, unfortunately, very sluggish. But still, I don't have. I think that's about the only. And the minor sort of, sometimes it lags. Yeah, it lags on the fucking PlayStation 2. It's just amazing, right? But that's the only, I guess that's the only kind of gripe I have with the game. And the graphics are quite nice, I think. Lara herself looks very good, design wise, and so does the other characters. They almost have this, shall we say, comic. They look sort of like there's something not comical or comedical, but something. They're like comic figures in a way. The way they're designed and the way they look, I guess you could say. But then the world itself around Lara is, on the other hand, very very detailed instead, and it's kind of these big areas, actually, you know, and the story is it's solid actually. It's solid for Tomb Raider, you know. It just this says like this is the basic plot, and this is what Lara's journey through this game will lead up to. In a way, that's her goal. So from the start, you know what Lara's goal is, and you even get a little sort of prologue in the beginning, and it shows that Lara and her mother's private jet plane just crashes in Nepal, somewhere in the mountains, and that they find these. It's like a portal, you know, with stones set out around, and they found a sword, like a sword stuck in stone, and and Laura goes up and just pokes at it, and of course she manages to shove it in the stone, you know. So she activates this gate, then her mother comes, starts wondering what the fuck is going on here, you know, and she basically enters this portal and leaves Laura alone. So I thought that was kind of nice, you know. With that was this little prologue, so that you get to see it happen and you don't just hear about it, you know. So I like that. I like that kind of little prologue thing. And the voice actors I like the voice actors, especially Laura herself. I think I love her voice. I think it's great, actually, and I like her. I like Laura. You know, of course she's dropped that gorgeous. You know, at least I feel. But I sort of like her personality also. That well, I don't think I need to explain the personality to you because it's Tomb Raider. Anyway, so yeah, Legend, I would give I think an 8 out of 10 actually, 8 out of 10. Really, it's and it's you have these sort of extra things you can do, extra stuff after you completed the game, like collecting bronze, silver, and gold sort of rewards hidden throughout each area. And maybe I should mention a place to go to. Like, it's Bolivia, Nepal, Japan, Tokyo, and even England, United Kingdom. You go to a sort of a museum, and under the museum you find this whole fucking cavern system, you know, with giant fucking snakes and serpents and whatnot down there. It's really fucking awesome. So I think they take, like, I guess you could say real world locations and ruins. Well, real world locations, at least it's based in real world, in the real world, but then they sort of, and you have these ruins, and under some of the ruins you find even more. You find stuff that you wouldn't expect, you know. And they carried that theme further in Underworld, actually, which I'm going to talk about. But anyway, Legend, 8 out of 10, definitely 8 out of 10. So then we have Underworld, and Underworld follows basically straight after where Legend left off, basically. And like I said, this theme of tombs, ruins under ruins, sort of, you have these layers, you know. That theme is prevalent all throughout Underworld, really, because the title Underworld. And what I really like about Underworld is that they have mixed in Nordic mythology, because it's very much about Thor and Mjolnir and Odin and these Norse gods, you know. But it focuses on Thor and the Midgard serpent and Jörmungandr. And Laura basically finds, in the end of Legend, she doesn't really find her mother, but she finds clues as to where her mother can be. So she has sort of the same goal in Underworld, but she goes to be honest, more fucking awesome places. And the levels in Underworld, well, except Croft, but Croft Manor, you go to Croft Manor also, it's also it's whole underground system, you know. But I mean, first place you go to, it's the Mediterranean, and you dive down in the sea, and you know, deep down below, you can see, like, the whole seabed, you know, sea floor with ruins and sharks swimming around, and it's just wow. The lighting and the and the details. I mean, my God, Underworld is probably one of my. It's probably one of the best looking games to PlayStation 3 I have ever seen. Period. It's so fucking gorgeous. It's amazingly gorgeous to look at, really. So it's like you just want to play it because you want, yeah, you just be dazzled by the graphics, really. And the voice acting is again quite solid in Underworld. But again, I think that Lara Croft herself is. Let's face it, Lara Croft is the main focus in Tomb Raider games, because really it's all circling around Lara, really. So, but I think the supporting characters, they're pretty decent, you know. But yeah, they're basically there to drive the story forward, you know. But Tomb Raider has never been a great story-driven game, you know. It's you play Tomb Raider for the exploration and the puzzles and yeah, all that stuff. But I think the combat works much better in Underworld, really, because when you lock onto an enemy, the camera will rotate almost all the time if the enemy isn't very far away. So the camera will actually rotate directly when you press L2 on the controller, and it will rotate to nearest enemy. And then if maybe the enemy is out of range, so the reticule is not red, but you'll at least see, aha, there's an enemy, right? So I'm glad they fixed that in Underworld, and they also, I think I found the driving sections in Underworld much more enjoyable than in Legend. They're still, basically because they're not as lengthy. Well, except when you go to New Mexico, and then you have to, and there's it's actually a lot of driving in that on that level. But I think it works much better because it's a little bit easier to steer the motorcycle, and it's not as clunky and stiff as it was in Legend, thankfully. So yeah, and the gameplay in it's really, and the environments are just fucking huge. They're multi-layered, you know. They're so fucking huge that I really thought to myself when I played it, oh God, why couldn't they include a map? You know, I mean, I think it's, if only you could have found the map somewhere in the level, you know, and you can look, I have been here and there and there and not there, you know. But still, it's fairly obvious where you're supposed to go. And if you use the PDA, Lara can give you like sort of hints at what your task is and what you must do to progress further to accomplish the task. So yeah, I think Underworld is a great follow-up to Legend, and I think it beats Legend. Actually, I prefer Underworld because it has no quick time events. Yay! Fuck yeah! Yeah, Legend has quick time events, so I might add, and yeah, I'm not a very big fan of those quick time events. So I'm really glad that Underworld doesn't have any fucking quick time events whatsoever. I find it really nice. And as I said, the graphics are just fucking amazing. And it continues this sort of comic book slash ultra detailed environments like Legend had. The comic book kind of characters in the look. And Underworld doesn't have as much extra stuff as Legend, but you can still collect like relics and treasures in Underworld. And with the size of the levels or of the places you go to, trust me, you will have lots to do. Really. So Underworld, it gets an 8.5 from me out of 10. I think it's a great game, and I can highly recommend it. Although, if you're a really big fan of the old Tomb Raiders, whereas they were much harder, you know, and you're just standing there and scratching your head, you fucking want to tear your hair out in fucking frustration because you don't know what the fuck you're supposed to do to progress. And so if you really like that kind of Tomb Raider, I think you will be very disappointed, quite disappointed actually, by Legend and Underworld. But hey, if you're like me and prefer the newer Tomb Raiders versus the old ones, yep, you'll definitely love those two games. So that's my Tomb Raider double review for you, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time.